Hey everyone, welcome back here to my channel where I play Planet Zoo. My name is Nissa and today we are taking a look at the Lowland Paca habitat here in Smalzie Zoo. So if you want to hear more about the Lowland Paca or simply just see how I built this habitat, then please keep watching. Okay guys, first of all, the Lowland Paca, also called the spotted paca, is also just called paca. So I'm probably gonna say that because it's the shortest, just call them paca or pacas. Just a clarification here. And before we get too much into that, I actually want to tell you a little bit about what I really want for this habitat. I of course want it to be pretty. I want to have a little nice swimming area. That's what I'm building right now. But I want a specific thing from this habitat because the road that I built that will kind of go down the short side of this habitat will go into an entrance. I haven't decided exactly how yet, but in some way there will be an entrance there. And there is one thing that I think a lot of zoos does badly, and that's the idea that for especially a kid, but honestly I'm still a kid at heart, and every time I get to a zoo I want to just see this magical kingdom I walk in through. I want to be able to see multiple things. I want to be able to have the idea that this zoo continues further than I can see. I don't want it to feel like, oh, we have a wall there and then I really can't see anything. I want this kind of feeling of it just continuing, and I want to be able to see over anything that's right before in front of me, so it all feel like an extension of each other when I walk in. Just feel like I'm ready to be sucked into this world. One zoo I think does this quite well is Copenhagen Zoo. Now keep in mind that I haven't been out of my house for a few years at this point, so I'm not sure if any of these zoos have changed since then. But when you go into Copenhagen Zoo here in Denmark, you actually are met with kind of this hill downwards. It's not a steep hill. It's not like when you go out again you feel like you need to climb a mountain. It's just like this nice steady decline where it is made with like as a pathway, so it's not like you walk on uneven ground or anything like that. It's made really nicely. You have the zoo tower where you actually can go up and watch over at least most of the zoo. I'm not sure you can see all of the zoo anymore, but you can go up there and watch. And otherwise you just have this big open plains where you have a gift shop on one hand, a toilet and these things, but otherwise you just have flower beds and open space, which is really nice because you can just see this continuation of the zoo. And especially because all of these, a lot of these habitats are built in different levels, so you also actually can see, you cannot see the entire habitats of course, but you can see, oh, behind that habitat there's another habitat. Maybe you can see a bigger animals. I believe the elephants were down there and they've been moved, but early on you could actually be lucky to see a elephant behind one of the other habitats and such, which just gives this illusion that it continues and continues and continues. What is a little too much is that you have all of these flower beds instead of actually putting some animals up there. So that's the idea that this habitat should be one of these where you can look over it and it will be a part of the panorama view when you walk in there. One zoo that does this kind of badly is Lowland Paca, also here in Denmark, and I will say it's one of my favorite zoos. It's just not a flashy zoo. It doesn't focus on making every single thing pretty. They do not have a water park within it. It doesn't have all of these kids things within it, but they do have quite amazing education, and they do also focus quite a bit on their animals instead of all these flashy things. The bad thing though is that again it's not built for the guests, it's built for the animals. So when you walk in there, you will literally just see walls. Like walls on the left, there's a building over there, wall on the right, there's a building over there. You can walk front, but then there's a giant fence you can't see through, and then you need to walk to the sides before you are even able to see anything. It's not the feeling you want. Again, it's a really good zoo, it's a nice zoo, it's not a big zoo, it won't take you all day to get through it, but highly recommended. It's not the feeling you want to give your guest if you really focus on giving your guest the best possible feeling when they enter your zoo. Anyway, as you can see here, I actually make this fence very, very low, and it's just because these Lowland Pacas is really small, so it's easy to make. I also make it this kind of open fence with all these holes in it to kind of feel like the wind goes through, we have this breeze, and most of it will actually also be covered with some kind of foliage. The same with the fence on the back. I go really basic with the fence on the back, and that is partially because I have an idea that you would either have the road out there or a parking lot. Again, this is the end of the zoo or the beginning, so we want something tall, and wood can isolate a lot of sound, so we want to get that traffic sound as far away as possible. Also why I put up some big bushes back there to again isolate the sound, which is one of the reasons I personally really enjoy when zoos are placed on the countryside of a country, where there's not that much noise. It is really frustrating when you walk in a city zoo and you go to the edge of the zoo and all you can hear is the traffic jam outside. Anyway, these paca is rodents, like a lot of animals we actually have looked at of my channel, and it's actually funny because when we talk rodents, again we think rats, mice, ferrets, and I think that's pretty much it. But we have so many different rodents that really aren't that, I won't call them disgusting because I don't think they are, but I know a lot of people will think that rodents is a disgusting kind of animal, and I do actually think the paca is something that more people would grow to love if they gave it a chance. Anyway, they are, as said, in the rodent order and in the family of Cuniculidae. The Cuniculidae family is the family of 3 species of pacas, which is described as ground-dwelling herbivorous rodents from South America, being the paca we talk about here today, the mountain paca, and then the Cuniculus hernandesi. Not sure how to pronounce that though. What is interesting that normally from family it will split down to genuses, but since we only have one genus in this family, all 3 of them share the same both family and genus, of course. The population size is currently unknown, though I will say that they are fairly big rodents, weighing between 6 and 14 kilos, being 13.2 to 30.8 pounds, so heavy lifters in the rodent family. They are actually widespread within South and Central America, being here they live in Argentina, Belize, Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Costa Rica, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Guyana, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, Uruguay, and Venezuela. And add to that list that they have been introduced to Algeria and Cuba. Again, introduced means that they aren't natively there, but they have even been set out by humans or have some some way travel to there, since these are different islands compared to the other countries they're in. I assume they somehow came with a boat or swam for some reason. They live in the forest and rainforest and only within the tropical climate zone. And this is where my habitat may be a little off for you. I will say I only used plants that fitted with the mod's capacity, but I did actually choose to tone it down and not give it too many colors. A lot of these colorful plants we could put in here, I used bushes and a little bit of purple, a little bit of yellow, but mostly only green and blue toned green also, to kind of make the habitat as toned down as possible. Again, I don't want this to be a habitat that drags your eyes over there so you don't see the whole picture. I want this to be a part of the panorama view and not something where your eyes will automatically hone in. Plus, I know when you look at the panorama view and there's something cute and cuddly and small over here, right away you will go and watch the animals no matter what. But the habitat itself should not be what entices you to do so. However, I really like what I did with it, and what I just say was my reasoning for building it this way. But I will just add that it wasn't like, I was afraid it would become boring, but I actually really like the way it turned out. And I really like that it doesn't look like all of the other tropical habitats I have built, since Planet Zoo is fairly limited with their plants. I know I have some mods in here that give me a few extra plants once in a while, but most of these are from the game. And I was still able to make something tropical and fairly lush and green looking and foresty looking without actually having to put all of the same plants in that I always use. One thing that I probably would have changed my habitat if I had known before, but normally I read about the animals afterwards and sometimes it kicks me in the ass. And these pacas are nocturnal. And I know it's a thing, especially early on. I think most zoos have begun better at this, but we need to be better at taking nocturnal animals and at least put them inside where you can give them the opposite their night cycle. You actually can do this fairly well over time, where you kind of cheat them so they believe that day is night and night is day, so they will be awake in the day, but because you change the daytime inside of the building, their natural cycle of the day will not be disturbed the same way. Where here they will try to sleep all day and the guests will just be noisy and disturb them. So I am sorry about that, and again, I would have made something different, placed them at different place in the habitat or in a different place in the zoo where I could have given them a nocturnal house if I had been aware of this. They do also burrow naturally. Of course, here I built them all of these houses. I'm actually not aware if they would choose to use these houses. Again, if you don't have to dig a burrow, would you then do it? Or if it's just a strong need for you in your genetics that you have to burrow? Again, a lot of animals does things in zoos that they simply don't have to do because it's their nature. But in zoos, they are pretty much hand-fit everything they need, so they don't have to do any of these things. But it's just their nature, so they do it anyway. Again, normally when we talk South America, a lot of herbivores are fairly lucky because there's not as many predators as there could be other places. However, they do still have issues with cougars and jaguars. Other kinds of threat includes habitat loss and simple fragmentation. Not necessarily that the species have been forced to fragmentate themselves, but because a large part of forests are just removed and the forest is kind of split up, so now they have to live on one side or the other, and therefore the species get fragmented. It's not because there's just no animals to put in the middle, it's simply because they cannot hide and survive in the middle. Furthermore, they are also hunted either by domestic animals, that could be cats and dogs and such, but also by farmers, and this is on a bigger and bigger scale. This is simply because these are rodents and they are hungry and they eat the crops and they eat the hay and they poop in the animals' food bowl, and they are just, you know, in general, rodents are not something you want on your farm, so the farmers try to remove them. If it's like going out with a shotgun and shoot them or putting out traps, it has the same effect no matter what, and that is a big issue at that part. However, it does still seems like their numbers are staying strong. Again, we do not have a firm number, but they are listed as a linked concern animals. And again, that we don't have a number, it's just like a lot of other animals. You have no idea about how many mosquitoes there are in the world, but you have a good idea that they are certainly there and not gone extinct at any point. Anyway, for now, just enjoy the cinematics and these very cute pacas, and I will come back afterwards. Okay guys, that's all I got for you today. I really hope you enjoyed it, and as always guys, you know the drill. Like, subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you know the next time I upload a video. I really hope to see you again, either in the comments below or in the next video. Bye guys!